Here's the presentation for the personalized icon design. What is an icon, you may ask? An icon is a visual representation of any idea, concept, or action. It's a graphic visual of just about anything that communicates a message quickly. Have you ever seen an icon? Can you name any famous icons? Of course you can, and of course you have. They're all around you. There are even a few on this page, and maybe around you in the classroom right now. Just look around. These are just a few recognizable icons that you might know. An icon can be just a single image. For example, the McDonald's sign that has the golden arch, the M. There is Instagram, which is the little colorful camera. There's the Target icon, very infamous with the black and white circles. There are icons that include text. For example, the Coca-Cola sign, the BBC sign, the I Love New York sign, and Lyft. Okay, Google is created just with letters. There are icons that are a combination between letter and icon, like the Pringles sign right here, or the Pepsi sign. Even with both of these, the word can be taken away, and the icon of just the image of the red, white, and blue circle for Pepsi is recognizable, as is the Pringles face. Some icons we recognize, even though there's no words or letters. For example, the stop sign. We all know the shape. Especially if you're going to be starting to drive soon, it's a very, very common icon you should recognize. There's also the recycle icon, the don't icon, which usually has something in it, like don't park here, or no smoking, or just about anything. Don't litter. These are just a few different icons that you've seen before. I'm sure you can think of many more. What is a personalized icon design? A personalized icon is an icon you design to represent and match your personality. It's meant to represent, well, you. Think about the little round circle in Google where you chose an image to represent you. In Google, that icon is you. So these were just a few from one of my classes. Some people chose things that had to deal with sports, or maybe cute little character icons like this little sloth. Right? Maybe it has to deal with your favorite show and maybe a favorite character, like right here from The Office. Either way, you chose those icons to represent you. For this project, you will be creating your own personalized icon by drawing it and coloring it, preferably with colored pencils. It could be a symbol and a combination of a few different symbols. It can include words, phrases, or even song lyrics. The sky is the limit. Think about things that represent you. And how do you want to show them? Here's my example. Here's my personalized icon. I'm sure looking at it you can figure out a few things that are representing me and that I like. For example, that I love coffee. Or hot chocolate, it could be either. I love both. Sometimes I'll even combine them together. I love art. That's why I have colored pencil here. I have my paintbrush here. I have a dog paw here because I have 2 puppies and they are my little lovies. I also love very intricate little designs. Now, there's a few other things in this image that might not be as recognizable, or that you might not notice right away. For example, color choice. The color choice is very important and is a big part of an icon design. For example, I chose blue, or the sapphire color, for my pencil. The pencil is also on the top of everything. So placement of items is also important as well. I love working with colored pencils. This blue is representative of sapphire, which is my birthstone. The paintbrush has green paint dripping off. Green is my favorite color. Red is the color of the cup. Red represents warmth, which is, what's inside the cup, a warm beverage. Okay. Brown is natural or neutral, and the color of my doggies. And then I have these color designs up here. It's a little harder to see in the picture, but they're blues and greens. So some of my favorite colors. So every little detail in this design was chosen for a reason. What images, icons, or things will you include in your design to represent you? The first step of the project is to brainstorm, to work out your designs. There is a separate attachment which has these 2 pages. This first page is 4 separate smaller circles. First, you're going to design using regular pencil, sketching where you want your items to be and how you want your designs to look, as well as what type of items you want in the image. So here's the one that I chose. I've changed it a little bit for the final, but there's some other icons over here that represent me. Okay, I used to play soccer. I love hockey, and actually I can play pretty well, if I do say so myself. Here I created an icon just about teaching. The apple represents the teacher. There's a computer and a mouse here because I do a lot of tech in school. I teach the media classes, I teach photography, so this is very representative of me as well. So you're working out 4 different designs. And you need to have 4 different designs completed because in the end, these sketches will be handed in along with your final project because in this class, all worksheets are a part of the grading system. They're a part of the process, so they're a part of the grade. After you brainstorm, you're going to choose the one icon design that you like best to represent you. Then you're going to lightly sketch it within the larger circle, which is on the other page in the attachment. One has 4 smaller circles and the other one has this one very large circle on the page. So here I lightly sketched the placement of my items. Then what I did is I went back in and I cleaned it up a little bit. I used a ruler to create straight lines. I went back in and I lightened up and took away some of my sketchy lines that I no longer needed. For example, here on the bottom of the cup, I have these sketchy lines. And there's more than one of them. Same thing up here around the rim. I went back in and I cleaned up those lines. I also lightened some of them. Now it looks a little bit dark here, but before I went in and colored, same thing, I went back in and I even lightened those more. Because what's going to happen is when you add color pencils, it can smear regular pencil if the lines are too dark. Step 3, lightly add color. Well, just that, lightly add color. Don't worry about shading just yet. I know I have that here, but I kind of went in because I'm used to just going in and adding those extra details. But sketch lightly, like the pencil here, or like the coffee mug, the red mug itself. The paintbrush. Okay. Add your colors lightly. Figure out what colors you're using. Lightly fill them in. You can worry about value in the next step. And here we go. Step 4, add values, shading, and any other details. Here's where you can add all those little details that you wanted to. The different values and the shading to make objects look like they're more 3D. You can add textures to things. Leaving your colors just, solid colors tends to make the picture look more flat and a little bit boring. Adding just a little bit of value can really bring your design to the next level. You might ask, but Mrs. George, all those other icons didn't have all those details and values, like Facebook or Snapchat. Well, that's true. However, those weren't designed for a project in art class. Hence why I'm looking for a little bit more details. right, here's just another example. Simple sketch. Okay, once again, paying attention to placement. The objects are filling the space. There's not a whole bunch of tiny little icons or tiny little drawings all over the place. All of these things should work together as a whole. So worry about placement. Think about it. Where do you want your items to go? Have items overlap. If you feel that maybe they'll be too big, you can overlap. The pencil is overlapping the paintbrush. We can still tell that's a paintbrush even though it's overlapped. So what's to say you can't tell if football is overlapping a baseball? As long as some of it's sticking out and you can tell what it is, you're good. Here, the design was just added values. This doesn't have the color added to it, but you can see the contrast. You can see the difference between adding the values and keeping it plain. All right, here's just another example that was created. I'd love to add more student examples, and that's where you guys come in. I would love to use some of your examples as part of this presentation for future students. All right, there's a few other slides in this presentation. There's one, these are just some simple icons. Even with these, take a look at the backgrounds. You can notice some of the colors start darker on the outside and fade, get a little lighter as they move to the inside. Ones like these, the tennis ball and the baseball, even these over here, they have these little extra shadows that bring it just that much more forward, that make it look a little bit more 3D, less flat. Same thing with this basketball right here. Very quickly, here's just another design I started. I will finish this and add this to my presentation. But here, the icon I was creating last year for my 8th grade class. It has the name, it has Art 8, it has some paint splatters. I started creating the colors and the values. Right, so that's the start of one. But you get the idea about placement and the items within. All right, here's a few little hacks. If you can't print up the pictures, what you can do is you can trace circles, whether it's putting a cup or a mug upside down and tracing the circle. There you go. That's how you can create circles. If you have change and you want to draw smaller circles in your design, but you're not really good at drawing circles and you don't have a compass, quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies, trace them. If you don't have a ruler, that's okay too. All you need is something with a straight edge, whether it's a folder, a book. You can just use the edge and create a straight line. All right, so those are just some art hacks that you can have in case you don't have some of the materials. For this project, as I said, there is going to be a separate page attached that will have these 4 separate circles and the final project large circle. What you can do is print those up and you can use them that way. Or if you're in class, I can give you the page in class. All right, any questions you guys have, simply just ask. All right, I hope you enjoy this presentation and I will either see you in class or I will talk to you. If you're a remote student, maybe I'll talk to you through an email or through a Google Meet. All right, enjoy. Happy drawing.